Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We are back with another episode of Lessons with Lindsey Live. It is me, Lindsey A of VA, and I have another super special guest for you all tonight. I would love to introduce you all to Miss Rachael Payton. Hello, hello. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lindsey. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Super excited to be here.
Yes, please, please, please tell the people who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So I am the founder and president of Be Great DC. We are a nonprofit community service organization. We focus all of our efforts on youth education, community engagement, getting the community involved, and also discussing important topics that are relevant to our audience, and also health and wellness, because we believe that investing in our youth and also investing in the mindfulness and also the health of our community is very important in building strong communities.
Are we back? Okay.
I think so. Sorry.
I have no idea what
I was like,
uh-oh.
Do I need to repeat myself?
Doing such a great spiel. And
Do I need to run it back?
please run it back.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Tell the folks.
I'm sorry. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Again, my name is Rachael Payton. I'm founder and president of Be Great DC. We are a nonprofit and community service organization where we focus our efforts on community engagement, youth education, also health and wellness. Some different fundamentals that we think are very important to building a strong community.
Yes, I love that. And I love when I even found out. I saw a Be Great DC flyer before I knew that it was you.
Oh, nice.
That's cool. Oh, look at DC. Okay, that's something nifty. And then I saw you, and I was like, oh, she's affiliated. That's something. Oh, wait, no. This is not an affiliation.
Yeah.
Founder. Oh, excuse
Yeah.
me. So let's talk about it. Let's go back to the beginning. What was the driving force behind starting Be Great DC?
It's funny that you say that, because I always had kind of the idea of starting a nonprofit, but I thought that I wouldn't do that until I, retire my career and then kind of do that on the side towards the end of it. But prior to founding Be Great DC, I used to be on the board for the Northern Virginia Urban League Young Professionals Network. And that was kind of right out of college and really gave me my first experience into deep diving into leadership in the nonprofit space. And, working with the Urban League, that was in Northern Virginia again, but I had a lot of friends and peers and colleagues in other parts of the DMV, and they wanted to be more involved, and they were inspired by some of the work that I was doing, but they weren't necessarily interested in volunteering in Virginia, or maybe the programs weren't necessarily in alignment with what they wanted to do. And the thing about it is, I found out about Urban League from Google. I literally Googled Black philanthropic community service organizations, and I was like, oh, Young Professionals Network, Urban League. I didn't know about them. And so I kind of took that concept, and I'm like, people don't know that there is so much information that's out there. There are so many organizations that are doing so many different things. And that was when I came up with the idea for the volunteer fair. So that was the first event that I ever did under the title of Be Great DC. And when I first did that event, I told myself, if this goes well, I'll just continue to do just this event every year. But me, I always have an idea. And so there were other community service events that I personally was interested in and kept using that brand name. And over time, it evolved into an actual incorporated nonprofit. And I've been able to execute some of the things that I'm passionate about. But I also use a lot of input from my team as well, so that we can have kind of a cohesive impact together.
So starting out with your first volunteer fair, were you the only person doing it? Did you coordinate and put the whole thing on by yourself? Did you have a team starting out?
From scratch. I mean, so the idea of the volunteer fair is similar to how a college fair or a job fair is set up. Had a bunch of different nonprofits in the area come out, ranging from they work with children, they work with kids, seniors, homeless populations, all types of different avenues, to allow people to come out and see what is really available. But when I first started, for that first year, I was kind of organizing and doing everything by myself. I remember sitting in my apartment. Mind you, I was unemployed at the time too. Unexpectedly, I had a job offer and they rescinded, but I had already quit my last job. So I was like, okay.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah, and Be Great DC kind of kept me going in a way. It was giving me something to do. And so I remember sitting in my apartment, just working on Excel sheets and kind of, doing research on the different nonprofits and drafting outreach emails and things like that, not knowing what I was doing at all. Had never put together an event like this before, definitely not by myself. But I do have a great support system. So while I did put it together by myself, I had other friends and people that promoted it, and different connections in terms of helping me secure venues and things like that. So it's definitely important, even when you're starting by yourself, do an audit and see where can you tap into your network.
Yeah.
Who can you reach out to? Don't be afraid to ask or let people know when you're comfortable what you're doing, because you never know what kind of doors that will open. So
listen, I tell people so quick, I am not afraid to jump into a DM.
Yes.
Like, look,
you never know.
You don't know me. I know you don't know me, but this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Would you like to help?
The worst that they can do is say no.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Like, people fear no so much, but it's a word. It's
right.
2 little letters, and you hear it and you keep going. Don't let it stop you, because you'll get stopped a lot if no stop you. I'm just saying.
Right. If you wait for a yes all the time, you'll be waiting forever.
Right. Yeses are few and far between, but you take the ones that you get and you run with them.
Right.
But that is really important. I know, like, when I started Vision Driven, before it was a nonprofit, I had to do the same thing. I did all the events myself. I had to tap into my resources. I had to look across the table and be like, hey, sister, can you make this flyer for me? Can you think, hey, mom, can you do, I was calling it favors. I'm like, look, y'all, this is what I'm trying to do. I think it'll be real dope. I just need the help. Like, you'll be surprised who will help you. Like, you will be surprised who shows up for you. Like, I reach out to the DMs that I was jumping into. They were like, oh, yeah, that's good. That's real good. The kids need this. Yeah, I'll help. I'm down, ... And I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
But if you never tried, if you never started, like, you're not going to do anything. And like you said, like, you were unemployed. You could have let that be a hindrance to be great DC. You could have been like, well, I ain't got a job. Like, I'm going to do any of these things. I'm broke, or whatever the case may be. So how do you feel that being in that space, like, so not having a job, but still having Be Great DC, do you feel like that was a deterrent or like a motivator?
To be honest with you, I feel like it was a motivator more so. It gave me, in a way, because it's work, but in a way, Be Great DC allows me to flex my creativity as well. Because a lot of the things that we're doing, which is kind of the purpose of the organization, we're trying to do things that we don't see being done. And we're trying to fill voids that, see need to be filled. And so that takes a little bit of creativity to even seek the void and find it. And 2, to figure out what kind of programming or resources your organization, or with the skills and resources that you have, how can you contribute? How can you assist in that area? And so, I think that, at the time, and plus I had more time on my hands aside from applying to jobs, but it also kept me, being unemployed can be a little depressing. And so you don't want to kind of just be in that, that funk all the time. And so it gave me something else to look forward to and to be excited about.
Yeah, I love that. I really, really do. When did Be Great DC start? What year was that?
So the first volunteer fair was in 2017, and we were incorporated in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from 2017 to 2018, how do you feel like you shifted, like, as a person? How do you feel like these helped you shift?
How much time we got today? Man, let me tell you something. Be Great DC, I would say Be Great DC, but also like Washington DC, the city itself, have really, I've grown up so much. And I've had to learn, one, how to ask for help. I've had to learn how to receive help. You have to learn how to be flexible. And then there's a lot of humility that goes into it, especially when you have a team and a board, especially when you have a team that's volunteering their services. We're all volunteering. This is not requirements. I'm not getting paid for this. Nobody on my team is getting paid for this. It's all out of love and passion. And so there's a lot of leadership that goes into it. And that's in different layers. That's understanding different communication styles, understanding different personalities, and being able to connect with people. And then also making sure that everyone on the team is in alignment, that we share the same energy and the same goals and drives. And so that in itself, in order to be a good communicator, in order to be open to other people, I also have to work on that for myself. So I have to learn how can I better communicate to my team what I need, to help me, but also what do I need from them. And also like, how can I also communicate to my team, when I do need help and when my bandwidth isn't really there. And then checking myself too, at sometimes, and being open to being checked, because you can't always be the person giving criticism and then not be open to receiving that as well. Right. So I definitely try to always leave the door open and ask the team, like, if there is a shortcoming, like, okay, so we didn't necessarily execute this the best way. How could we have done this better? What could I have done to communicate or to help, facilitate this better? And you have to be open to having, sometimes uncomfortable or challenging conversations, but you'll grow so much from that. And so I really think the leadership aspect of it and just like working with the team is really what has kind of pushed my growth the furthest.
Yeah, I mean, because people are hard, okay?
Yes, even people you love, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, like people you love, your family, like, people in general are hard. People communicate differently, people grow up differently, they know different things. I, for the longest time, was like, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna do it myself.
Right.
I'm good. You don't see the vision like I see the vision.
Right. You don't have to explain it to yourself. You know, it feels like extra work sometimes.
Right. It's like I gotta just get it. Like don't worry about it. Right. You're not here. What's going on? And then don't even worry about it. I'm just gonna do it.
Right.
Like I was telling you before we even came up here. I learned so quickly in these, like when I got a team, that was like, oh, there are people out here that do things better than me.
Yes.
And I knew it, like, but it was like, oh, snap, and it can help me.
Yeah.
Okay, I can use them to work together. Okay. Because for the longest time, I was like, I got it. And I remember the first event I did with my team, and one of my people came back and she was like, I got this, I got that, this. I was like,
right.
How did you do that?
I wasn't even thinking about some of the stuff you just said.
You said what? Yeah. Ooh, I like how you worded that. Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
Yes.
So listen, the people are so important, and learning, like you said, learning how to talk to them, like, because everyone has different communication styles. Some people you can't raise your voice at, like, and I tell people all the time, like, look, I'm gonna apologize right now because when this event starts, I'm not gonna be this.
Right.
And it's not on purpose. I'm here. I'm focused. I'm tunnel vision. I'm not ignoring you. I heard what you said, but if it's something that I need to answer, I'm not going to answer it right now. I apologize every event. Like, I'm not being mean. I can't hear you.
Right. Exactly. Yep. I think my team has kind of gotten to a point now where they know not to take a lot of offense to certain things. Not that I'm just out here like being rude or whatever, but just at certain moments, like, because for example, we have about 4 different committees. So I'm on conference calls all of the time, and we talk about kind of, our board members and volunteers having ideas and skills that we don't have, and being flexible and open to those. But you also have to know, there's the line between being flexible and also sticking to the vision and the mission of what you're trying to do. And so sometimes somebody will pitch an idea and maybe I don't get it right away. That doesn't mean that it's a no. And so I'll like challenge them sometimes, and I'm constantly asking questions about like, okay, so what is the purpose, of this event? What does this tie back to? And whatever campaign we're working on during this time, what is realistic? What are the realistic expectations in terms of like the work back plan? How much work do we need to plan to actually execute this? And sometimes it's like, I'm sold on this idea. But then sometimes you have to be clear that I'm not sold on it.
Right.
And it's not even hard feelings, but if I'm not sold on it, I'm not sold on it. And so, people also have to be receptive to that as well. It's like, no idea is a bad idea, but sometimes it's just, that's not just where we're going right now.
Right. It's not tying in with what we're doing. And you have to be cognizant of people's feelings. Like, I try to tell folks, like, I'm not being mean.
Right.
I'm not saying this with ill intent. I'm not coming from a place of hate. But right now, we don't have the capacity. Right now, that's not going to work with what we're doing. Like, I appreciate all the things. I promise you I do. But in this moment, we can't do it.
Yeah.
Listen, we can talk about it all day. It's real. And like you said, it makes you look at yourself. It makes you check yourself. Like, okay, well, Could I have said that different? Could I have approached the situation different? I need to go back and apologize because I was not right in this moment. And being a leader means recognizing those moments. You know, people talk about like management versus leading. I'm a leader. I want y'all to be just as great as I am.
Right.
I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't want to have to be over your shoulder all the time. Like, this is what we're doing.
Right.
What you do, break. You know?
Exactly.
And I want you to feel confident in your decisions and your actions and what you're doing. And because you have the mission in your back pocket, because you know what we're doing and why we do it, I'm going to let you go.
Right.
Now, if you get out of the mission, if you come out of the vision, then we got to come back.
You got to pull you back. You got to pull it back a little bit.
What we doing? But, you know, it's so important. And that helps us as the people in charge, as the presidents and the founders and the executive directors, because then it's like, okay, all these things aren't on my plate. I remember the stress. I remember the solo stress. That makes it real because it's like all the things are on me. Did I send out the itinerary? Does everyone know where to be?
Yes.
Know what's supposed to be happening right now? Please stop asking me 1,000 questions. Why are you?
Like, I just don't feel like making decisions today. How about that?
I don't. Like, are you still in your bed? Yes, I had an event. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. So we just, I think it was last year. So in 2018 is also when I got the board, and when I put out the call for the board, I didn't ask anyone in particular to come out to that, interest meeting, because I want people that were going to be passionate about it and really had the bandwidth. I didn't want people to come out just because I asked them, or just because they're my friend. Because just because you're my friend doesn't mean that this is the role for you. And so that was an experience all in of itself, kind of building my board. And then the past year and probably a year and a half, we've gotten to the point now where the directors really manage and lead the calls. And prior to that, once that shift happened, I didn't realize how much of a weight that was until I didn't have to do the agenda for the comms committee, for the fundraising committee, for the membership committee, for the events committee, because I'm doing all those agendas and running the meetings and then making sure everybody's doing the to-dos. Like, you're so used to kind of just being in the zone that you don't realize that somebody else can do this. Yeah. And you have to empower people to be able to do their job as well. So, and that's something that I'm still in the process of learning, but yeah, it definitely takes a strong team.
It definitely takes a strong team to do any business, but especially in a nonprofit organization, like you said, you don't have to be here. You don't have to do the things. You're doing it because you care. You're doing it because you have the heart for it. Like I tell people, the babies are my heart. I set out every day almost to ensure that they have what they need, or I'm always thinking about what I can bring to the community to enhance their lives. And you got to be on that same wave with me. Like, how can we make the community better for our young people? How can we make the families better for the babies in them? How can we build the community around our youth?
Right.
That's how my wheel is constantly turning. And I'm fortunate enough to have been able to find the people. And they're like, yeah, no, we can do this. We can do that. We can do. I'm like, oh, you speak my language. Right. You speak me. Yes, thank you.
It's like an immediate lift off of your shoulders. Like, wow, it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Right. And then you know that you can trust them. Like you said, you know they can run the meetings. And you know, oh, well, what happened? Oh, well, what did you say? Oh, well, why did you say that? It's always, I love it. I love it. And I'm learning to delegate and let things go. It's hard sometimes. And I tell them all the time, like, y'all got to bear with me because I'm used to being by myself. And they're like, give me that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Shoo. Why are you here? Why did you call them? So I completely understand. So let's talk about what do you do as a regular job? What's your 9 to 5?
Yeah, so the job that pays my rent. So I work in public affairs. Basically, it's public relations, but more of a government political focus. And so I work with clients primarily in healthcare sectors, but also a little bit in the energy space as well. So that's what I do during the day. And they definitely be working me, but I actually really enjoy the job. And for me, it's great to do something that's different, but also still impactful, just in a different light. But yeah, that's what I do professionally.
So do you think that ties into what you do with Be Great DC? Like, do they kind of interlink at any sector?
It's interesting that you say that. Not necessarily in terms of like collaborations per se, or at least not yet. But some of the kind of leadership and management experience that I have in my nonprofit is definitely utilized in my job. And also, sometimes vice versa.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my career in general, there are a lot of different things that I've taken from different jobs that I've had and different companies that I've worked with, and have implemented them into different things that I do with Be Great DC. So, for example, my job 2 jobs ago, when actually I quit that job because I was told that there was not a need for different skin tones in the workplace. Yeah, that was pre Black Lives Matter protest last year. So maybe they feel differently about that today. However, one thing that I did like about that job, we had a standing call every morning, and at the end of that call, we will always do shout out. So everybody goes around and does a shout out to one of our colleagues. And so at the end of all of our leadership team meetings, at the end of all of our committee meetings, or leadership team meetings, we always go around and do shout out. Sometimes everybody's feeling a shout out for the same person. Sometimes people are shouting each other out. But it's always such a great exercise because, one, people need their roses and their flowers, because we're really working. We're working, after hours. We all have full-time jobs. So, it takes a lot out of people. And 2, it shows how much everyone appreciates each other. It builds a family aspect, and it just makes people feel more comfortable working with one another, and it kind of builds that team too. So I definitely kind of use different things here and there and kind of switch them out.
But no, that's real. And honestly, I love that. I might be stealing that.
You should.
Yeah, I love
you should, because they didn't have me in tears. They didn't have people in tears sometimes. Yeah.
That's dope. And that's so, I really want to drive home the point that all the things you do tie into all the things that you will do.
Mm-hmm.
Always take from a situation. Like you said, the job was not for you. Right. The job was not your space to even be in. But that point, that little tidbit, you were able to carry, and you boost people with it. Like you build self-esteem, you give roses, you build confidence, and it was something so minor, but it's so impactful.
Right.
Had you not been in that space, you would have never been exposed to it.
Exactly.
To carry it over to Be Great DC. So you're never in a place on accident. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. Like, you encounter people, you work in places, you do different things. Some things work great, some things fail miserably, but it all ties into your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing and how you can make other things work effectively. I take things from other places all the time. I'm like, that's cool. I like it,
Yes. And even when you fail, failure is there's still something to learn in it.
Yeah.
So, while it may be a failure today, that lesson that you got out of the failure may help you get a win tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, take the lessons and grow with it.
Yeah.
As you go.
What is the quote? Is something like "fail often." And that way you're always learning. You're always you don't learn when you succeed.
Right.
It worked.
Right.
That's what when you fail, it's like, why didn't it work? How can I fix this? Or what do I need to do different? You take the time to do more research, you study more, you work more, you do all the things that you need to do because you're setting out for it to work.
Right.
Had you not failed, you'd have been like, whatever.
Right.
And the whole thing could have been slowly sinking. So I think everything happens for a reason. I think everyone is in a space, like in whatever space they're in, for a reason. So let's talk about the pandemic in your nonprofit. How were you affected? What did you all do? How did you all transition? What was that like?
Yeah, so it's funny. Well, actually not funny at all, but we also do a leadership team retreat at the end of every year. And we had just done our leadership retreat in December. We talked about all these ideas, in-person events and things that we want to execute. March, I believe, was the first. Well, no, we did a MLK event, but March, literally like a week before DC shut down, we did our first Black Men Yoga 2 series. And it was a beautiful experience. It was kind of self-explanatory, but it's a space that we create for Black men to come out and practice yoga, and also just kind of talk about mindfulness tactics and being healthy in the mental space. And a week later, quarantine. And we were like, what? And so for a minute, we were kind of just like, a little bit stuck because we weren't sure like how serious this was. We weren't sure how long it was going to last. And once we kind of got the idea, or once we realized that, we're going to be in this for a minute. I'm not gonna lie. On the inside, I was like, "Well, damn, I'm not gonna be able to do nothing I want to do this year. Like, are we just gonna be in the house?" And my team was like, "Okay, so we can do this virtually. Let's figure out how to do this virtually. Can we do this virtually?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." Things that I didn't even think about were possible. The team was like, "Nah, we're gonna figure out ways like to make sure we can continue to impact the community." And so we did that, and not only that, but we also grew membership.
Yeah.
And that was not even planned at this time. So shout out to Kalila Branch, who is our director of membership. I met her through WeWork. I used to have an office there, and that's also a venue that I used to use a lot for Be Great DC events. And one day she had walked up to me and asked me about the organization and to get a little bit more information about it. She originally joined on as one of our coordinators for our Working Women Wednesday program. And over time, she was like, "This has been cool, but I want to do more." And I was like, "What do you want to do?" And she's like, "Well, have you thought about membership?" And I was like, "Yeah, I thought about membership, but we're just getting a board and in a good flow. I didn't necessarily like want to do that right now because we don't really have the bandwidth." And she basically pitched herself as the director of membership. And I said, "You know what, girl, if that is the role that you want to take on, because we don't have this, it's a void that's not filled right now." I said, "Go for it." And because of her, we now have like 40 members. I'm probably getting that number wrong. It's probably closer to like 45, including our leadership team. But we've grown from essentially a 7-member leadership team to we have a 7-member advisory board as well. And then we have our 40 members. So not only did we grow in terms of pivoting to do virtual events, but we also grew our membership, we grew our team. And now I'm trying to encourage my directors to also delegate to their committee members as well, because now we have even more people that are available to help us. So we've grown in a lot of different ways. We've learned a lot. We launched typically we do an annual school supply drive, and that's normally just like, regular notebooks, pens, pencils, things of that nature. But we realized since everybody was learning virtually, we said, how can we help to fill that void? And so last year we did our first laptop drive. Raised a little bit over $7,500 to purchase 10 Microsoft Surfaces for students at Blue High School. And now that's kind of changed how we're doing our school supply drive moving forward. We're going to continue to, collect and raise funds, particularly for laptops and Microsoft Surfaces for kids in high school, and particularly kids that are going to further their education in college as well. So that had like a permanent impact on some of the programming that we're doing.
I love that. I love that for a number of reasons. One, please always shoot your shot. Please if you know you have a skill set, if you know that you can do something and you know it's going to be beneficial to a company or an organization, find that person, talk to that person, tell them what you can do, and see what happens. Like we said before, the worst they can say is no. And that's cool, because you can take it somewhere else. But you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. If you see an opportunity, you have to go for it. And so shout out to your membership director, because without her presenting it to you, like,
we might not have members now, which is like crazy.
Right. And that's so dope. Yeah. That's so amazing. Like,
and we get members virtually. Like we just, we literally last month was our first in-person members event. Wow. So these people have been engaging with us and sticking with us through the work that we've been doing virtually, which is, I think a great testament again to the team and to the passion that we're putting out into the community.
Yes. Most def. Like that's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. And then like you said, like, everyone had to transition virtually, and some people did not. Some people kind of got stuck and they just let it be what it is. And other people were like, no, we're gonna make this thing shake. We're gonna do something. Right. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna still let the people know that we're here for them. And everyone did it differently. And honestly, I don't fault anybody, because no one's ever been in a pandemic before. No one's ever had to deal with that. If all you did was survive, like, you did enough for me. Right. And so some of these organizations, I know they kind of stopped. They kind of got stagnant because they didn't know what to do. And that's A-okay. Organizations, they were like, we're going to go completely virtual, all the things. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, my organization, we were boots on the ground. We were like, look, we in these streets, put on these gloves, get these bags. I was like, look, we knock on your door, do not answer it. Wait till we leave and then open your door. Like, we were socially distancing. Everything was very contained and controlled, but we knew we had to be out there. We knew that our kids needed us, and that what they needed could not necessarily be conveyed virtually. And because a lot of our kids are like inner city and low income, it's like have the computer or the laptop or the iPad. Like we partnered with TCC and got computers and laptops from them to distribute to some of the kids.
Yes.
Because it like you said, it was necessary. And that it was the same thing for me. Like, okay, this is necessary now. This is going to be our new normal. And even if the kids do go back in person, they'll still need these devices. They'll still need access to the internet. They'll still need all these things. So it doesn't stop now. This is a one-time deal. This is like, okay, this is now a part of who we are.
Right. It's kind of really influenced. Honestly, there's so much about the pandemic that has been, one, unveiled in terms of vulnerabilities in so many different systems, but also it has influenced, I think, the way that a lot of us see life moving forward, and how a lot of things are kind of going to be, executed as well.
Most definitely. Like, now we have the option. Like, I think that's why, to get off topic for a second, I think that's why a lot of companies are struggling right now, because people are like, no, I know what I can do. I know I can work from home.
We just worked from home for a year and a half, like
we were home and we did not come back and everything still functioned. Don't matter. Don't tell me that we did, because we did. So,
I
get, but I think that it was so important for organizations, especially nonprofit organizations, to stay as connected as possible to their people, to their demographic, to whoever it is that they were targeting to help, because everybody struggled.
Right.
Everybody was down and out. Everybody needed somebody. And if we could be there to do anything, we were trying to be there. We were feeding folks. We were passing out toys. We were like, look, we got sidewalk chalk. Yeah, I want to go play up with the sidewalk chalk. Like, please go outside. I know it sucks, but please go outside or jump rope and stuff. So super important, and kudos to your organization for making the transition, for making the switch, for building membership virtually. Because
thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a journey, and we were out there too during the protest. It was so much going on because you had coronavirus, but then there were also the protests and just so many other layers to it. And we are a Black organization, predominantly Black woman-led organization, and we predominantly serve Black communities as well. And so there are also those additional layers, and so it was also important for us to do check-ins during our meetings, because some days, you don't ever know what's going on Capitol Hill, but we got this conference call, and it's like, let me just check in for everybody. And, how are you guys doing? There was some point where we had to move a meeting. Like, I just can't do it today. And not even me, but like, if the director just can't do it today, like, it's okay. You have to be flexible with that, because people are living our lives, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot in, our individual environments, and you never know what somebody is going through. So there's also, again, the flexibility of it, and just kind of allowing yourself to be human, and also allowing your team to be human as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about being a nonprofit organization, predominantly Black, predominantly women in DC right now. In this climate, in this current state that we're in, from before the pandemic, to during the pandemic with George Floyd, to even this year with the storming of Capitol Hill. Like, how has that affected your organization? How's that affected you as a person? Like, what role did that play in your leadership and in your everyday?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, last year was draining. And even before the pandemic, at the end of 2019, I was also sick on and off. And so physically and mentally, like, I was drained, kind of going into 2020. Then the pandemic happened. I was like, wow, we just can't really catch a break right now. But to be honest with you, while outside has been very draining, having the tribe and kind of having people that can relate to you without even necessarily having to explain yourself, and being able to just have, maybe a brief venting session, and allowing people to show up as they are, and I try to make sure that there's an environment where people are comfortable. We don't have to be all formal and uppity and, all that at the same time. You can be your natural self the same way if we were at a kickback, as long as we're getting this work done. Like, we can still make jokes. We can still, be comfortable, because then that kind of takes some of that added stress off and allows you to come into the room just like relaxed, but also, motivated to do work together because we're in it together. And so having that team, having that person to be by your side, be like, I understand, like we all going through it. And again, like being vocal about, hey guys, I need to cancel this meeting or reschedule this meeting. Giving people breaks and things like that. So honestly, I think having Be Great DC was more of a help and motivation and kind of nurturing during that time. And again, with the things that were going on, they almost kind of served as more of an inspiration. There are certain things that are somewhat out of our control, but the things that we can assist with, the areas that we can support, what can we do to be a resource and to be a motivating factor or inspiration or to help where it's needed. So those are some of the things that we were kind of going back and forth with. Excuse the ambulance outside.
It's no problem. But no, that's real. And I wasn't necessarily concerned, but I was concerned about, the plight of Black people, and especially in DC. Like, I wanted to hug everybody.
That inspiration was a lot because the Capitol is not. I could go run to the Capitol, so that was a lot. And that was after 2020. You know what I mean? Like, that was after everything else that had happened, and so. Again, also as a leader, what are the mindfulness tactics that you can practice? So I meditate. I'm also very vocal about going to therapy. I started going to therapy last year, and that's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I'm privileged enough to be able to have health insurance to help me pay for it. I know some people don't have the opportunity, but if you do, please take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And then also, journaling, working out, just whatever works for you, but you have to allow space for self-care and also allow space for your team to have self-care too. That's very important. You can't be on all of the time.
Say that again.
Because you're gonna burn and crash. And now I'm saying that as somebody that has burned and crashed on more than one occasion.
Yes. It's so real. Like, being a leader, being a person.
Yeah.
Not even just being a person. You have to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You have to respect your space. You have to respect how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
You have to acknowledge that I'm tired. I can't do all the things today because I'm tired. I can't listen. Can you handle this? Because I need to shut down for a second. I need to take a nap. I need to go sit on the beach and write. I need to go to the gym. I need to call my therapist. I need to call my life coach. Like, all these things are important. They don't make you weak.
Right.
They don't make you lazy. They don't make you complacent or stagnant or anything. They make you human. And everyone needs a break. Everyone needs a break. Everyone has to take the time for themselves. And especially when you are in a position of leadership, especially when you have been assigned something bigger than yourself, especially when you're out here trying to walk in your purpose. That thing is exhausting.
Especially as a servant to your community, yes. Because you give so much. You're just giving.
Right. Because that's what you know to do. Is like, yeah, I'm gonna help you. Yeah, I'm gonna help you. Yeah, I'm gonna be here for you. What do you need? What do you need? And you feel like if you're not, then you're not doing your job. It's like, no, you also have to give to yourself. You also have to check in with you. Like, what do you need? Like, you are asking everybody else, but have you asked you what you need?
Right.
Have you checked in with yourself? Have you sat down?
Right.
Today? You know
you like, I actually need to eat.
Because you know you don't be eating.
I'm trying to be honest with y'all right now.
I appreciate your transparency. It's real like that, and it's so easy to get caught up in. It's so easy to get distracted and think that because you're taking time for yourself that you're not focused. And it's like, no, that's important. Lindsey loves to sleep. Anytime I get to take a nap, I'm taking a nap.
Listen, I tell people all the time, I'm the most productive lazy person ever. Like, I get a lot of stuff done, but I also don't want to do it. Like, I'm passionate about, but it's like I'm good for a break. I'm good for a nap. I'm good for do not disturb on my phone. I'm good for all of that because I just know that when I'm on. Like, I'm exerting a lot, and so sometimes you just have to do a cold cut.
Yeah.
But you said something about like maybe taking on tasks or something. Another lesson that I've been kind of recently learning the last couple of months is learning how to say no more often. Because you think that just because you're capable of doing something that you should do it, or that you have the bandwidth to do it, or because you could squeeze time in to do it, that you should do it. And sometimes no. Sometimes no.
Sometimes it's no. your free time does not always mean that you're available.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's just that free time, and that is fine. I love a no now. For a long time, I didn't, but now it's like, no.
Yeah. That's not the direction I'm going right now.
That's not going to benefit me in this day. Like, no, I'm good for it now, and I do it unapologetically. And like my sister taught me a long time ago, she said, "No, it's a complete sentence.
Sure is.
You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to explain anything. You know."
Yes.
We're done.
Absolutely.
That's real. So, I gotta ask you my question.
Oh, Lord.
Lessons with Lindsey. What is your greatest life lesson that has sustained you? Do you feel like it can be more than one, but what's one that you can really pick out?
So I would say definitely. I thought about this earlier, but now I'm like, I feel so much pressure.
Sorry.
I know you said everybody always does this, but I guess I would say you really do have to be open to growth, and with that comes a lot of vulnerability. With yourself, with others, with it comes a lot of humility. And sometimes with it comes a lot of pressure, but you just have to take that one day at a time. You know, grow with intention, have an end goal in mind, have a vision in mind, but understand that all of that is not going to happen today. The ideal version of yourself that you see is not going to happen today. Even when you reach that, you're still going to be evolving beyond that. And so is your organization, so is your business. So again, like grow with intention, be open to that, but also give yourself space. Like take it one day at a time. Because the pressure is gonna come. Don't add additional pressure that doesn't have to be there. I guess I would say that's one of the life lessons, or like some of the lessons that I tried to pack into one.
See, I told you every time people get perfect answers. Every time, grow with intention. Allow yourself space to grow, and allow yourself grace. Because every day is not going to be perfect. Sometimes you're going to misstep. Sometimes things aren't going to work. We talked about failing earlier. All those things were going to happen, but allow yourself the grace to know that you tried, to know that tomorrow is another opportunity, and to know that you're human. And you are able to make errors. You're able to make mistakes, and they don't count against you. It's not a test. You're not going to get points taken off because you got something wrong.
Right.
You take the thing and you apply it to the next phase of your life. So no, grow with intention is beautiful. I love it. I'm completely here for it. And that's facts, because people can grow without intention.
Right. And just be lost.
Right. That's how you get weak. Like that's
especially now with social media, because everyone wants to catch up to everybody else. We see everybody's documenting their life in real time, and it's so easy to get caught up in what the next person is doing, but you don't know what baggage is behind.
Everyone is documenting the good parts of their life in real time.
Say that again.
Social media is a whole hoe. I'm sorry, it's fake. Okay, people don't put out the bad. They don't put out their bad days. They don't put themselves up there looking busted and disgusting.
Right.
Even if they like no makeup, okay, but it's still a filter.
Right.
Like don't do it. Don't look at social media. Compare your life to the next person's, because you have no idea what their real day to day looks like. They're not gonna tell you. Why would they put that out there? So that's big facts.
Yeah.
Other things.
And I would also say, if I may add, use it as inspiration, you know, and I say that because they're also from a business and nonprofit point of view, because you always want to have kind of an audit of who your competitors are, right?
Yeah.
But your competitors, that can be healthy competition in terms of like, look at the other organizations you're competing with for members or for donations or whatever. What can you?
Oh, the Wi-Fi today. Rachael was on one day, and I'm going to see if she's going to come back. But this was a good conversation. I'm very happy about this conversation and this life lesson. So I don't know what happened with the...
You learn from that organization.
Yep, then we're going there. There we go. Are we back? No, we're still not back. Struggles. Hold on. Let me see. If I can take her down and then bring her back. Oh, goodness. I'm so sad about this. I don't know what's going on with the internet today. Let me pull up her handles for her. We're going to see if we can bring her back. But if not, I want you all to follow Be Great DC. I want you all to go to begreatdc.org. Make sure that you follow them on Twitter, on Instagram. Is she coming back?
Right.
Yay, there we go.
I'm so sorry.
Give me your handles out and everything. It's okay. I was like, I don't know what happened to her, but make sure you follow her. Make sure you follow Be Great DC.
Thank you. Yes. I was wrapping up my sentence anyway, so it's fine.
Yes. So you were on it. All the things. I love it. Please, I don't know if I get it.
Yes. I was saying use your competition or people that you look up to, use as inspiration, but not necessarily, you don't have to compare yourself to them directly.
Yeah. Figure out what works for them, how it can work for you. You don't have to do it the same way, because them and what makes you is two different animals. It has nothing to do with each other. So I love it. I love all the things. I think this is a really dope conversation. I love what you do with Be Great DC, creating these spaces for people to explore different avenues, like the Black men with yoga. Black men don't do yoga. They should.
But they do.
Yeah, they do. They do. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Black men do yoga, and they love it. And I love that they do it, and that they love it, and that you created this space for them to even try something that they might not have ever tried before. So you do good work.
Thank you. And likewise.
Thank you. Out here creating spaces for people and opportunities for people to do more, to be involved, to have leadership positions. Like, I'm here for all the things. I'm big on roses too, so that's why I'm just letting you know, screen to screen, that I appreciate the work that you do. I've seen your growth. I've seen the organization grow from us being back in college together.
Yes.
Now, like, we're
all. So do you.
Yes. Please tell the people how they can follow you, Be Great DC, where they can go for more information and how to get involved.
Absolutely. So my handle is Rachael. It's in the screen, Rachael_, but my nonprofit is Be Great DC at Be Great DC, just spelled as one word, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn. We also have a podcast that we just launched last quarter. It's a quarterly series called Say Less. The first episode is with myself and my best friend / vice president, and we kind of talk about the origins of Be Great DC and what it's been like to work with each other. And then also our website is begreatdc.org, so you can go there and stay up to date and also get subscribed to our emailing list.
Yes, I love it. Sit tight for me for 1 second. Everybody else that's out here watching, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Lessons with Lindsey Live. I hope you got some lessons, some gems dropped on you today. I know that I did. So we're going to kick back off next week. We'll be here Wednesday, 8 p.m. I will see you all later. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.